What happens when a law student witnesses her professor committing the very crime she's learning to prosecute? When the man who teaches justice becomes the one who breaks it? This is a story about lines we swear we'll never cross, until we do. About the moment everything you believe shatters in a single night. About choosing between what's right and what's real. Stay with me until the end. Hit that like button and drop a comment with your city so I can see how far this story travels. Now let me take you back to where it all began. The night Lena Carter's life split in two. The gate closed behind her with a sound Lena would remember for the rest of her life. Not a slam. Not dramatic. Just a quiet mechanical click that shouldn't have meant anything. She was early, 40 minutes early actually, but Professor Vale had said the study group started at 6, and Lena Carter didn't do late. Didn't do unprepared. Didn't do anything that might jeopardize the scholarship that was the only thing standing between her and a mountain of debt that would bury her before she turned 30. The estate sat 3 miles outside the city limits, where the roads turned from asphalt to gravel and the houses hid behind walls of pine. Adrian Vale's place wasn't the biggest out here, but it had that kind of old money quiet to it, the kind that didn't need to announce itself. Stone and timber, windows that reflected the late autumn sky, a driveway that curved through trees starting to lose their leaves. Lena had been here once before, back in September when the study group first formed. 5 of them, all second years, all in Vale's Advanced Criminal Procedure seminar. They'd met in the library that first time, but Vale had suggested rotating locations. "You'll learn more in different environments," he'd said. "The law doesn't live in textbooks." She'd thought that was profound back then. Her Honda looked out of place next to the BMW and the Tesla already parked near the garage. Olivia's Tesla. She'd recognize that custom blue anywhere. Olivia Vale, Adrian's daughter, her closest friend since orientation, the person who'd actually gotten her into this study group in the first place. "My dad's tough, but he's fair," Olivia had told her over coffee that first week. "And if he likes you, he'll open doors you didn't even know existed." Lena grabbed her bag from the passenger seat, organized by subject, color-coded tabs, everything where it needed to be, and headed toward the front entrance. The porch light was on even though the sun hadn't quite set. November did that, stole the daylight earlier and earlier. She rang the bell, waited. Nothing. She tried again, counting to 30 in her head. Still nothing. Through the side window, she could see lights on deeper in the house. Hear the faint sound of music. Classical something, the kind of thing Adrian played during office hours, said it helped him think. The door was unlocked. That should have been the first warning. But Lena had been raised in a neighborhood where unlocked doors meant you were asking for trouble. And this wasn't that neighborhood. People out here didn't lock anything. Different world, different rules. She stepped inside. "Hello? Professor Vale? Olivia?" Her voice sounded small in the entryway. The foyer opened into a living room that belonged in a magazine, leather furniture, a fireplace with a mantel full of books instead of photos, artwork that probably cost more than her car. Everything clean, everything precise. "Anyone home?" The music was coming from upstairs. Chopin, maybe. She wasn't good with classical. Lena set her bag on the bench near the door and checked her phone. No messages. No running late texts from the others. Just the group chat from this morning confirming 6 o'clock, Vale's address. Bring your case briefs. She was early. They were probably all running on normal people time. The house felt wrong, though. Too quiet underneath the music. Like the silence had weight. She should leave. Come back at 6. Wait in her car. But Olivia's car was here. And someone was home. The music. The lights. Maybe they just couldn't hear the doorbell. Lena moved through the living room toward the stairs. The music was definitely coming from the second floor, along with something else, a sound that didn't fit. Voices, raised, angry. No, not angry, worse than angry. She stopped at the base of the staircase, hand on the banister. "Professor Vale?" The voice upstairs cut off mid-sentence, then silence. Complete. Even the music stopped. Lena's pulse picked up. This was stupid. This was none of her business. She should go back outside, get in her car, drive away, and pretend she was never here. But Olivia's car was in the driveway. "Liv, you up there?" Footsteps, fast, coming toward the stairs. Adrian Vale appeared at the top landing, and for half a second Lena felt relief. Just her professor. Just the man who'd spent the last 3 months teaching her the intricacies of the Fourth Amendment and the exclusionary rule. Tall, mid-40s, the kind of sharp dress that made every other law professor look like they'd given up. He wasn't movie star handsome, but he had presence. The kind of person who commanded a room just by walking into it. Except right now his shirt was untucked. His hair, always perfect, was disheveled. And there was something on his hands, dark, wet. "Lena." His voice was level, too level. "You're early." Yeah, sorry. The door was unlocked and I heard." She stopped, stared at his hands. "Is that blood?" He looked down like he'd forgotten it was there, then back at her. "You need to leave." "What's going on? Is someone hurt? Should I call?" "No." He descended 3 steps, stopped. "No calls, no one is hurt. You're early, and this is a bad time. Come back at 6. That should have been enough. He was her professor. He was telling her to leave, simple. But the sound she'd heard, that hadn't been nothing. That had been pain, fear. And Adrian Vale didn't look scared. He looked calm, controlled. He looked like a man handling a problem. "I heard someone," Lena said. "Upstairs. It sounded like—" "Lena." He said her name like a warning. "Go home." She should have. Later, when she replayed this moment in her head 1,000 times, she could never explain why she didn't. Maybe it was the blood. Maybe it was the way he was blocking the stairs like he was guarding something. Maybe it was just that Lena Carter had spent her whole life being told what to do, and some part of her had finally had enough. She moved toward the stairs. "Don't." Adrian didn't shout, didn't raise his voice at all. But the single word stopped her cold. They stood there 10 feet apart, teacher and student, and the air between them felt like broken glass. "Someone's up there," Lena said quietly. "Someone who needs help." "No one needs your help." "Then why won't you let me—" The sound came again. A groan, low and raw, male, coming from somewhere down the upstairs hallway. Adrian's expression didn't change. "Last chance. Walk out that door, drive away, come back at 6. We'll never speak of this." Lena's hands were shaking. She curled them into fists. "What did you do?" For a long moment, he just looked at her. Then he stepped aside. "Fine. Come see." She should have run. Every instinct she had was screaming at her to turn around and get out. But her feet carried her forward, up the stairs, past Adrian, who smelled like expensive cologne and copper pennies. The hallway was long, doors closed on either side. The sound was coming from the last room on the right. The door was ajar, light spilling through the crack. Lena walked toward it like she was in a dream. Like this wasn't real, like she'd wake up any second in her apartment with her alarm going off, and this would just be stress about midterms manifesting in weird ways. She pushed the door open. The room was some kind of home office. Bookshelves, a desk, leather chairs. Nice. Normal. Except for the man zip-tied to the chair in the middle of the floor. He was maybe 30. White, skinny, wearing jeans and a t-shirt that had been white once but was now mostly red. His face was swelling on one side, eye already purpling. Blood ran from his nose, his mouth, somewhere in his hairline she couldn't see. His breathing came in quick, shallow gasps. When he saw her, he tried to speak. It came out garbled, desperate. Lena's vision tunneled. The room tilted. She grabbed the door frame to keep from falling. "What?" Her voice broke. "What is this?" Adrian had followed her. He stood in the doorway now, calm as if they were discussing a case study. "His name is Derek Lowe. He's 28. He has 2 priors for assault, and 3 weeks ago he put his girlfriend in the hospital." The man in the chair, Derek, shook his head frantically, trying to talk through what looked like a broken jaw. "The police arrested him," Adrian continued. "Prosecutors charged him, and yesterday his attorney got the case dismissed on a procedural technicality. The arresting officer forgot to Mirandize him before a custodial interrogation. Everything Derek said was inadmissible. No confession, no case." Lena couldn't breathe. "You can't. This isn't—" "The law failed," Adrian said simply. "So I didn't." She wanted to scream, wanted to grab her phone and call 911, wanted to do any of the things a sane person would do when they walked in on what was clearly assault, imprisonment, maybe worse. But her body wouldn't move. Adrian watched her with something that might have been curiosity. You're in shock. That's normal. Why don't you go downstairs, have some water, and you're torturing him. The words came out flat, disconnected from her brain. I'm getting a confession. That's not how this works. No, Adrian agreed. It's not how the law works, but the law let him walk. So now he gets me. Derek made another sound, pleading. His eyes found Lena's and held on like she was the only hope he had left. She took a step backward, then another. I'm calling the police. No, you're not. The certainty in his voice stopped her. Not a threat, just a fact. You can't stop me. I don't have to. Adrian moved past her into the room, picked up a folder from the desk. Derek here has already called the police twice on his girlfriend. Both times, she recanted, said she fell, walked into a door. You know how this goes, Lena. You've studied domestic violence cases. The system is a revolving door until someone ends up dead. So you decided to, what? Be judge, jury, and executioner? No, just investigator, and I'm very good at my job. He opened the folder, showed her photos. A woman's face beaten so badly, Lena couldn't tell what she originally looked like. Hospital reports, police reports. This is Madison Hayes, 25 years old, works as a dental hygienist, likes to paint, volunteers at an animal shelter. And if Derek here goes free, she'll be dead within 6 months. Lena looked at the photos, at Derek, at Adrian. This is insane. This is reality. You're a law professor. I'm a lot of things. He set the folder down, turned to Derek, and said something too quiet for Lena to hear. Derek's head dropped, beaten, broken. Then Adrian walked back to her, stopping close enough that she had to tilt her head up to meet his eyes. You have a choice to make, Lena. You can leave right now, tell whoever you want, burn your entire future for a man who put his girlfriend in the ICU. Or you can go downstairs, sit in the living room, and wait for this to be over. That's not a choice. It's the only one you've got. Her phone was in her pocket, heavy, right there. But her hands wouldn't move, because somewhere underneath the horror and the disbelief, a terrible thought was forming. What if he's right? Not about the torture, not about this, but about the system. About how many times she'd read cases where technicalities set guilty people free. How many times she'd sat in class discussing the exclusionary rule and thought, but what about the victim? Adrian read her face like a book. You're a smart girl, top of your class. You know exactly how broken it all is. You've just never had to face it before. This isn't fixing anything. Derek is going to confess, on video, detailed. And when I'm done with him, he's going to turn himself in to the police and plead guilty. Madison will be safe. Justice will be served. Through torture, through necessity. He stepped back, gave her space. I'm not asking you to help. I'm not asking you to approve. I'm just asking you to decide whether you want to be part of the problem or part of the solution. Lena's mind was racing. This was a crime, multiple crimes. She was witnessing felonies. She had an ethical obligation, a legal obligation, to report this. But the photos of Madison Hayes were still on the desk. And Derek Lowe was still breathing in that chair, alive and conscious, when by all rights, he should be in a cell somewhere but wasn't because the law had failed. The study group, she heard herself say. Is it even real? Adrian smiled, thin, humorless. Of course it's real, but it's also a test. I don't waste my time on students who can't see past the textbook. Olivia, does she know? My daughter believes her father is exactly what he appears to be, and that's how it needs to stay. Another choice. More weight. Lena looked at Derek one more time. He'd stopped struggling, just sat there, bleeding, waiting. Then she turned and walked out of the room. She made it halfway down the stairs before her legs gave out. She sat down hard on the steps, head in her hands, trying to remember how to breathe. This wasn't happening. This couldn't be happening. But upstairs she could hear Adrian's voice, calm and methodical, asking questions, and Derek's voice, broken and small, answering. The front door was right there, 20 feet, 10 seconds. But if she left, then what? Call the police, tell them her law professor was torturing someone, watch them arrest him, watch the case fall apart because she'd entered illegally, seen everything through an unlawful search. Watch Derek walk away free because Lena had contaminated the evidence. Or worse, watch them not believe her at all. Watch Adrian explain it away. Watch her scholarship disappear and her future crumble because she'd accused one of the most respected legal minds in the state of being a criminal. The law failed, so I didn't. She wanted to vomit. The front door opened. Lena's head snapped up. Olivia walked in, laughing at something on her phone, car keys in hand. She saw Lena on the stairs and stopped. "Hey, you're early." Then she actually looked at her. "Whoa, you okay? You look like you've seen a—" "I'm fine." Lena stood up too fast, swayed. "Just headache. Might need to skip tonight." Olivia frowned. "Want some Advil? Dad's got a pharmacy upstairs." "No." The word came out too sharp. "No, I'm good. I'll come back another time." "Don't be ridiculous. Come on, I'll make coffee. The others won't be here for like half an hour anyway." Olivia headed toward the kitchen, already moving on, because to her, this was just a normal Thursday, just study group at her dad's house like always. Lena looked up the stairs. The voices had stopped. The only sound was Olivia in the kitchen, opening cabinets, humming something off-key. Footsteps above. Adrian appeared at the top landing. He'd changed his shirt, washed his hands, looked completely normal. He met Lena's eyes and gave the slightest nod, then descended the stairs, walked past her like nothing had happened, and joined his daughter in the kitchen. "Hey, sweetheart. You're early too." "Yeah, I finished my meeting early. Is Lena staying? She said something about a headache." "I'm sure she's fine, probably just needs some caffeine." They sounded so normal, so father and daughter, so completely not like what Lena had just seen. She stood in the foyer, frozen, while her best friend made coffee and chatted with the man who'd just been torturing someone in his office. The others arrived at 6. Marcus and James and Sophie, all carrying laptops and case briefs, all complaining about traffic or the reading or Professor Chen's impossible standards. They set up in the dining room, spread out materials, started arguing about fruit of the poisonous tree doctrine. Lena sat at the table, opened her laptop, tried to focus on the words in front of her, but all she could see was Derek's face, the blood, the fear. "You with us, Carter?" Marcus waved a hand in front of her face. "You look zoned out." "She's got a headache," Olivia said, sliding her a mug of coffee. "Here, this'll help." "Thanks." Adrian joined them an hour in, fresh from returning some calls upstairs. He led the discussion like he always did, brilliant, challenging, pushing them to think beyond the black letter law. When they got to inevitable discovery, he made them argue both sides. When Sophie said she didn't think police should be able to use evidence from illegal searches, he asked her what happens when that means a murderer walks free. "The law has to mean something," Sophie said. "Does it?" Adrian looked around the table. "If following the rules means the guilty go unpunished and the innocent suffer, what's the point?" "The point is we're not savages," James said. "We're supposed to be better than the criminals." "Are we? Or are we just better at pretending?" They debated for 40 minutes. Constitutional rights versus public safety. Theory versus reality. Lena didn't say a word. At 8:30, Adrian called it. "Good work tonight. Same time next week?" Everyone agreed. Packed up. Headed out. Lena was the last to leave. She'd moved too slowly, let the others get ahead. Adrian caught her at the door. "You did well tonight." She stared at him. "I didn't do anything." "Exactly." He held her gaze. "You made a choice. The right one." "What happened to him?" "Derek? He's on his way to the police station right now, with a full confession and a promise to plead guilty. Madison will be safe. Justice will be served." "You mean he's terrified of you?" Fear is a powerful motivator. Adrian stepped closer. "You're upset, I understand, but in time you'll see that some situations don't have good options, only less bad ones. You're a criminal. I'm a realist, and deep down, so are you. Otherwise you'd have left when I told you to." He opened the door for her. "Drive safe, Lena. See you in class Monday." She walked to her car on autopilot, got in, started the engine, sat there. Through the window, she could see Olivia and Adrian in the kitchen, cleaning up, laughing at something, looking like any other father and daughter. Lena's hands gripped the steering wheel until her knuckles went white. Then she drove home, got to her apartment, locked every lock, turned on every light, and sat on her bathroom floor until sunrise, trying to figure out who she was now. Because the girl who'd walked into that house believing in justice, she was gone. And Lena had no idea who was left in her place. The worst part was the next morning, when she woke up and checked the news. There it was, buried on page 3 of the local section. Man turns self in after girlfriend's assault. Derek Lowe had walked into the police station at midnight with a lawyer and a full confession. He was being held without bail. Madison Hayes, when reached for comment, said she was grateful for a second chance at safety. The system had worked, because Adrian Vale had broken it first. Lena stared at the article for 20 minutes. Then she got up, got dressed, and went to class. Business law. Constitutional analysis. She sat in her usual seat, took her usual notes, answered when called on. But every time she closed her eyes, she saw Derek's face, heard his breathing, felt the weight of the choice she'd made by walking away. She avoided Olivia for 3 days, made excuses, had meetings, needed to study, wasn't feeling well. On the 4th day, Olivia cornered her outside the library. "Okay, what's going on? You've been weird since study group. Did something happen? Did someone say something?" Lena looked at her best friend, the girl who'd helped her move into her apartment, who'd stayed up with her through exam stress and breakup tears and every crisis of the past year and a half, who trusted her father completely, because why wouldn't she? "Just stressed," Lena said. "Midterms." "Bullshit, talk to me." "There's nothing to talk about." Olivia studied her face. "Did my dad do something? Because if he was too hard on you during the discussion, that's just how he teaches. He pushes everyone." "It's not that." "Then what?" "Everything. Nothing. The end of the world." "I'm fine, Liv. Really. I just need some space." The hurt on Olivia's face was immediate. "Space? Right, okay." "I didn't mean..." "No, it's cool. Take your space." She turned to leave, stopped. "For what it's worth, whatever you think happened, you're wrong. My dad's a good person, one of the best people I know. So if you're judging him for something, maybe check your own perspective first." She walked away before Lena could respond. And that hurt worse than anything. Because Olivia wasn't wrong. Lena was judging, making assumptions, seeing the worst in a situation she didn't fully understand. Except she did understand. She'd seen it, witnessed it, been given every chance to stop it and hadn't. That made her complicit. Monday, she had criminal procedure with Adrian. She thought about skipping, faking sick, dropping the class. But she needed it to graduate, and running wouldn't change what she'd seen. She sat in the back, took notes, didn't volunteer. Adrian taught like nothing had happened. Brilliant, engaging, made the driest material fascinating. At the end of class, when students crowded around with questions, he answered each one with patience. Lena packed up slowly, waited for everyone to leave. Then she approached his desk. He looked up. "Ms. Carter, something I can help you with?" The classroom was empty, just them. "I need to know something," she said quietly. "That man, Derek, did I what? Break any bones?" "No. 'Cause permanent damage?" "No. Extract a confession through psychological manipulation and the threat of violence?" "Yes." The casual admission made her flinch. "And you think that's okay?" "I think it's necessary. There's a difference." "Not really." "No?" Adrian leaned back in his chair. "Tell me, Lena, if you knew with absolute certainty that someone was going to commit murder, but you couldn't prove it, couldn't stop it legally, what would you do?" "That's not the same thing." "Isn't it? Because that's what Derek was. A murder waiting to happen. Madison was a corpse on a timeline. I stopped it. By breaking the law. By doing what the law couldn't." He stood, moved around the desk. "You're struggling because you've been taught there's a clear line between right and wrong, legal and illegal. But the real world doesn't work that way. Sometimes the only way to do the right thing is to break every rule you've been taught to follow. That's not justice. Maybe not, but it's protection. And sometimes that's more important." Lena wanted to argue, wanted to tell him he was wrong, that this was black and white and he was clearly in the wrong. But she kept thinking about Madison's face in those photos, about Derek walking free, about the system that was supposed to protect people failing over and over and over. "I can't be part of this," she said finally. "You already are. You made your choice Thursday night, whether you like it or not. I can still report you. You can. You won't. Because you're smart enough to know how that ends. I walk. You burn. Derek goes free. Madison dies. And the only thing you accomplish is proving that doing the right thing in the wrong way destroys everyone. He was right. She hated that he was right. I want out of the study group. No. That's not a request. And it's not an option. You're in now, Lena. All the way. Because I need people who understand that the law is a tool, not a cage. People who can do what's necessary when necessary. I'm not like you. Not yet. But you will be. Because once you see how broken it all is, you can't unsee it. And you're too smart to keep pretending the system works when you know it doesn't. She should have left, walked out, gone to the dean, the police, someone, but she didn't. Because somewhere deep down, in a place she didn't want to examine, she knew he was right. The law had failed Madison Hayes. And Adrian had fixed it, and Lena had let him. That made them the same. The thought followed her home, lived in her apartment, sat beside her while she studied. She tried to focus on school, on exams coming up, on anything but the weight of what she'd become part of. But at night, she lay awake and wondered, if she'd been in Madison's position, would she want someone like Adrian to exist? Someone willing to break every rule to keep her safe? She didn't have an answer, and that terrified her more than anything else. 3 weeks passed before Lena stopped checking over her shoulder every time she left her apartment. She went to class, took notes, studied, maintained her grade point average because losing her scholarship wasn't an option. But everything felt different now, like she was walking through a world made of glass where one wrong step would shatter everything. The study group continued. Every Thursday at 6, rotating locations like before. When it was her turn to host, Lena cleaned her tiny apartment 3 times and left every light on. Nothing happened. They discussed cases, argued about procedure, ordered pizza. Normal. Except Adrian would catch her eye sometimes, and she'd see the question there. Are you going to break? She didn't. Mostly because she had no idea how to. Olivia eventually forgave her for the weirdness, chalking it up to stress. They fell back into their usual rhythm. Coffee before constitutional law, lunch between classes, complaining about Professor Chen's obsession with oral arguments. Lena let herself sink into the routine because routine meant she didn't have to think. But then came the Thursday that changed everything again. She was in the library, 3 floors down in the stacks where nobody ever went, trying to find a case citation that wasn't digitized yet. The fluorescent lights hummed. The air smelled like old paper and broken dreams. Her phone buzzed. Adrian, my office, now, not a request. Lena stared at the message for a full minute. She could ignore it, pretend she didn't see it, but that would only delay the inevitable. She left her stuff on the desk and headed across campus to the law building. Adrian's office was on the 3rd floor, corner view, the kind of space that came with tenure and reputation. The door was half open. She knocked anyway. Come in. He was at his desk, reading something on his laptop. He didn't look up when she entered, just gestured to the chair across from him. Lena sat, waited. Finally, Adrian closed the laptop and gave her his full attention. You've been avoiding me. I've been in your class twice a week. You sit in the back, don't participate, leave the second I dismiss. That's avoidance. Maybe I just don't have anything to say. You always have something to say. It's one of the things I like about you. He leaned back in his chair. But you're scared. I get it. What you saw was extreme. You're questioning everything, wondering if you made the right choice by staying quiet. I didn't make a choice. You cornered me. I gave you options. You chose the one that let you sleep at night. Well, he paused. Maybe not sleep, but live. Lena's jaw tightened. Why am I here? Because I need you to understand something. What happened with Derek wasn't personal. It wasn't me being violent for the sake of violence. It was strategic intervention in a situation where the legal system failed catastrophically. You keep saying that like it justifies torture. I'm not interested in justification. I'm interested in results. Derek pled guilty. He's serving 8 years. Madison is alive and rebuilding her life. That's a success. Built on broken laws. Built on necessity. Adrian stood, moved to the window. Outside, students crossed the quad, laughing, stressed, normal. You know what the conviction rate is for domestic violence cases that actually make it to trial? Less than 50%. You know how many victims recant before it even gets that far? More than half. The system is designed to fail them, so I don't. By appointing yourself judge and executioner. By being what they need when the law isn't enough. He turned back to her. I'm not asking you to like it. I'm asking you to see it for what it is. A necessary evil in an imperfect world. Lena wanted to argue, but she'd spent 3 weeks reading case after case of domestic violence prosecutions that fell apart. Victims too scared to testify. Evidence inadmissible on technicalities. Abusers walking free to hurt again. Why are you telling me this? She asked. Because there's another case, and I need to know if you're in or out. Her stomach dropped. I never said I was in. You didn't say you were out either. You've had 3 weeks to report me, to tell someone, to do anything. But you didn't. That tells me you understand even if you don't want to admit it. Understanding isn't the same as participating. No, but it's close enough. Adrian returned to his desk, pulled out a folder. Her name is Rachel Kincaid, 22, junior at State. 3 months ago, she was assaulted at a party, raped by someone she thought was a friend. She reported it, did everything right, went to the hospital, did the kit, talked to the police. The DA charged him. He opened the folder, showed her the file. Photos of a girl who looked barely old enough to be in college. Blonde, small, the kind of person you wanted to protect. The defense attorney is arguing consent. They had a history, went on 2 dates last year, nothing serious. He's claiming she regretted it after the fact and filed a false report. Her word against his. No witnesses. The DA thinks the case is too weak to win. Lena's throat went tight. So they're dropping it? Not yet. But they will. Public defender I know says it's a matter of time. They can't prove lack of consent beyond reasonable doubt. That doesn't mean it didn't happen. No, it just means the law can't touch him. Adrian closed the folder. His name is Tyler Brennan, 23. Clean record. Comes from money. Father's a surgeon, mother sits on the hospital board. He's going to walk away from this and do it again. Statistics say within 2 years. Lena felt sick. What are you asking me to do? Nothing. I'm just telling you what I'm going to do and giving you the option to be there or not. You mean you're going to, what? Beat a confession out of him too? I'm going to have a conversation with him. What happens during that conversation depends on him. That's insane. That's justice. Adrian's voice was calm, reasonable, like they were discussing a case study. The system failed Rachel, so I won't. Question is whether you can live with that, or if you need to pretend you don't know it's happening. Every part of Lena's brain was screaming at her to get up and leave. Report this, stop this, be the person she'd been raised to be. But another part, a quieter, darker part, was thinking about Rachel Kincaid. 22 years old, did everything right, and the system was going to fail her anyway. When? The word came out before she could stop it. Tomorrow night. Tyler's going to receive an anonymous tip about a job interview. He'll show up at an address expecting to meet a recruiter. He'll meet me instead. And if I'm there? Then you're there. Witness, accomplice, whatever you want to call it. But you'll see exactly how this works. No surprises, no walking in on something halfway through. Lena's hands were shaking. She pressed them flat against her thighs. I need to think. You have until tomorrow at 8. I'll text you the address. Show up or don't. Either way, this is happening. She stood, made it to the door, stopped. Does it ever bother you? She asked without turning around. What you do? Adrian was quiet for a long moment. Every single time. But being bothered doesn't help anyone. Getting results does. Lena left without another word. She didn't sleep that night, just lay in bed staring at the ceiling, playing out scenarios. If she went, she was crossing a line she couldn't uncross. If she didn't, Rachel Kincaid would spend the rest of her life knowing her rapist was free because the law had failed her. At 7 the next evening, Lena's phone buzzed with an address. Industrial District, the kind of area that was mostly warehouses and auto shops. She stared at it for an hour. At 7:55, she got in her car and drove. The building was exactly what she expected. Anonymous, isolated, the kind of place nobody would notice or care about. One car was already there. Adrian's BMW. Lena parked, sat, her hand on the door handle. She could still leave, drive away, Pretend this never happened. But Rachel Kincaid's face was in her head now, 22. Did everything right. Lena got out of the car. The door was unlocked. Inside was dark except for light coming from a room at the back. She followed it, footsteps echoing on concrete. Adrian was setting up a camera on a tripod. The room was empty except for a table, 2 chairs, and a chair in the corner that had zip ties already attached to the arms. He looked up when she entered. "Wasn't sure you'd come." "I'm not sure I am here." "Fair enough." He adjusted the camera angle. "Tyler should arrive in about 10 minutes. When he does, I need you to stay quiet. Let me handle it. If at any point you want to leave, go. But once this starts, I can't stop it." What exactly is it? A conversation. I'm going to give him a choice: confess on camera and turn himself in, or face consequences. Most people choose the confession. And if he doesn't? Adrian didn't answer. Footsteps outside, a car door, voices. "That's him," Adrian said quietly. "Back corner. Stay out of sight." Lena moved to the shadows, heart hammering. This was real. This was happening. The door opened. A young guy walked in, looking around confused. Tall, athletic build, wearing a polo shirt and khakis. Looked like every other college kid who'd grown up with money and expectations. "Hello, someone here about a job?" Adrian stepped into view. "Tyler Brennan?" Tyler's confusion deepened. "Yeah, who are you?" Someone with questions about Rachel Kincaid. The change in Tyler's expression was instant. Defensive. Angry. "I don't have to talk about that. My lawyer said." "Your lawyer isn't here, it's just us. Have a seat." "No thanks. I'm leaving." Tyler turned toward the door. Found it locked. Tried the handle. Nothing. "What the hell is this?" "This is your chance to tell the truth. Sit down." "Screw you, I'm calling the cops." Tyler pulled out his phone. Adrian moved faster than Lena expected, crossed the distance in 2 steps, and took the phone out of his hand. Not violently, just efficiently. "Sit. Down." Something in Adrian's voice made Tyler obey. He sat in one of the chairs at the table, trying to look brave and failing. "You can't do this. This is kidnapping, false imprisonment. I'll have you arrested." "Maybe. But first, we're going to talk about what you did to Rachel." "I didn't do anything. She's lying. We hooked up, she regretted it. Now she's trying to ruin my life." "Is that what happened?" "Yes. We've been over this with the police, with lawyers. Everyone knows she's full of it." Adrian pulled out a folder. The same one he'd shown Lena. Photos of Rachel at the hospital, bruises, injuries. "These don't look like regret." Tyler barely glanced at them. "She was drunk. She fell. I don't know, but I didn't rape her." "You're lying. Prove it. That's what I'm here to do." Adrian set up the camera, pressed record. Red light on. "This is your opportunity to tell the truth. On camera. Detailed. What happened that night. What you did. All of it. You do that, and you can walk out of here. You can turn yourself in, take responsibility, face actual consequences like an adult." Tyler laughed. Actually laughed. "You're insane. I'm not confessing to something I didn't do." "Then we have a problem." "No, you have a problem, because when I get out of here, I'm pressing charges. You're done." Adrian studied him for a long moment. Then he stood, walked to the corner, picked up the chair with the zip ties. "Last chance. Confess, or this gets ugly." Tyler's bravado cracked. Just a little. "You can't. You're bluffing." "Am I?" From the shadows, Lena watched Tyler's face cycle through emotions. Disbelief, fear, anger, calculation. "You touch me. My father will destroy you," Tyler said. "You have no idea who you're messing with." "I know exactly who I'm messing with. A rapist who thinks money and connections make him untouchable." "I'm not a rapist." "Then why is Rachel Kincaid still having nightmares? Why did she drop out of school? Why is her entire life destroyed while you're walking around free?" "That's not my fault. She should have been more careful. She shouldn't have been drinking. She trusted you." Adrian's voice was cold now, empty. "And you violated that trust in the worst possible way. And now you're going to sit here and lie about it because you think you can." Tyler stood up fast, chair scraping. "I'm leaving." "No, you're not." What happened next was fast. Adrian moved, Tyler swung. Adrian dodged and countered with something Lena couldn't quite see. Tyler went down hard, gasping. "Sit in the chair," Adrian said. Tyler tried to get up. Adrian put a foot on his chest. Not hard, just enough. "The chair, or this gets worse." From her corner, Lena felt like she was watching through glass, disconnected. This wasn't real. This couldn't be real. But Tyler was crawling to the chair, and Adrian was zip-tying his wrists, and the camera was recording everything. "One more time," Adrian said. "Tell the truth. What happened with Rachel?" "Nothing happened. We had sex. Consensual sex. She wanted it." "She was unconscious. She was drunk. That's different." "Is it? Because legally doesn't matter if you can't prove it." Tyler was crying now. Angry tears, frustrated tears. "Everyone knows the system is broken. She can't prove I raped her, so I didn't. That's how it works." Adrian went very still. "Say that again." "What?" "You just admitted it. The system is broken. She can't prove it, which means it happened. You just know you'll get away with it." Tyler's face went white. "That's not... I didn't mean... Camera's been recording this whole time, every word, including the part where you just confessed." "I didn't confess to anything. You said she couldn't prove it. Not that it didn't happen. There's a difference." Lena watched Tyler realize what he'd done, watched the panic set in. "You can't use that. I was under duress, coerced. No court would... I don't need a court. I just need the truth." Adrian leaned in close. "Here's what's going to happen. You're going to sit there and tell me exactly what you did that night, every detail, on camera, and when you're done, you're going to turn yourself in and plead guilty. Never. Or I send this video to everyone, your parents, your friends, every law firm you ever apply to, every person you ever meet, and you spend the rest of your life known as the rapist who confessed. That's blackmail. That's justice." Tyler was sobbing now, full broken sobs. "Please, please, I'm sorry. I didn't mean... It wasn't supposed to be like this. She was there, and I thought... You thought you could get away with it. I was drunk too. I made a mistake. Rape isn't a mistake. It's a choice. And you chose it. Now you get to live with that." For the next hour, Lina stood in the shadows and listened to Tyler Brennan confess. Every detail, every moment, everything he'd done to Rachel Kincaid while she was too drunk to consent, too out of it to fight back. By the end, even Adrian looked tired. He turned off the camera, unzipped Tyler's wrists. "You have 24 hours to turn yourself in. If you don't, I release the video. Understand?" Tyler nodded, couldn't even speak anymore. "Get out." Tyler stumbled to the door, fumbled with the lock Adrian had released, and ran. They heard his car start, tires squealing as he left. Then silence. Adrian packed up the camera, didn't look at Lena. Finally, "You can go too." Lena stepped out of the shadows. Her legs felt like water. "Did you mean it? About the video?" "Every word." "And if he doesn't turn himself in? Then everyone knows what he is? Either way, Rachel gets justice." "That's not justice, that's revenge. Call it what you want. It's more than she'd get from the legal system." Adrian finally looked at her. "You shouldn't have come. You invited me. I gave you an option. You chose poorly." "Maybe, or maybe I needed to see it." Lena's voice was shaking. "See what you really do, how far you're willing to go." "And now that you have?" She didn't have an answer, because watching Tyler Brennan break had been horrifying. But hearing him confess, hearing him admit what he'd done, that had felt like something the law should have been able to do but couldn't. "He's going to turn himself in," she said. "Probably. And if he doesn't? Then I make good on my threat. And his life is over either way." Lena walked to the door, stopped. "Does Rachel know about this?" "No. And she never will. As far as she's concerned, Tyler had a crisis of conscience and confessed. That's all that matters." "You're playing judge." "I'm filling a gap the system left open." Adrian picked up the folder, the camera, everything, erasing evidence like it was routine. "Go home, Lena. Forget this happened. Move on with your life." She wanted to, but forgetting seemed impossible now. Tyler Brennan turned himself in the next morning. The news ran it as a miracle. Guilty conscience, couldn't live with what he'd done, wanted to make things right. He pled guilty to sexual assault, got 5 years. Rachel Kincaid's victim statement was read in court. She talked about finally feeling safe, about being able to sleep again. about believing in justice even when the system seemed broken. Lena read the transcript and felt sick, because Rachel thought the system had worked, thought Tyler had confessed out of remorse. She'd never know the truth, that justice had come from a man operating outside the law, using fear and coercion to force an admission the legal system couldn't get. And Lena had watched it happen, had been there, had done nothing to stop it. She avoided Adrian for a week. Skipped study group, citing a family emergency, sat in the back of his class and left the second he dismissed. But he cornered her eventually, caught her in the hall after constitutional law. "We need to talk." "No, we don't." "My office. Now." Not a request. She followed because what else could she do? The second the door closed, Adrian turned on her. "You're spiraling. I can see it. You think what we did was wrong." "What you did? I just watched." "You were there. That makes you part of it." "I know." Her voice cracked. "I know, and I don't know how to live with that." "You live with it by accepting that the alternative was worse. Tyler Brennan would have walked free. Rachel would have spent her life knowing her rapist got away with it. You stopped that. You stopped that. We stopped that." Adrian's voice softened. "I know this is hard. I know every instinct you have is screaming that this is wrong. But you saw him, Lena. You saw what he is, and you know the legal system would have let him go." She did know. That was the worst part. "I can't do this again," she said quietly. "I'm not asking you to." "Aren't you?" "Because that's what this feels like. You're pulling me in, showing me how broken everything is, making me complicit. I'm showing you reality. What you do with that is your choice." Lena laughed. Bitter. "Choice. You keep using that word like I actually have one." "You do." "Walk away, transfer schools, pretend none of this happened. I won't stop you." "But you won't let me forget it either." "No, because you can't unsee what you've seen. You can't unknown what you know. The system is broken, Lena. People like Derek and Tyler slip through the cracks every single day, and people like Rachel and Madison pay the price." He moved closer. "I'm not asking you to become me. I'm asking you to acknowledge that sometimes the law isn't enough. And when it's not, someone has to fill that gap. Someone like you. Someone willing to do what's necessary." They stood there, professor and student, in an office that smelled like old books and terrible choices. "I need time," Lena said finally. "Take it. But know that while you're deciding who you want to be, people are suffering, and the clock doesn't stop for your moral crisis." She left before he could say anything else. The next 2 weeks were a blur. Classes, studying, existing. Olivia kept asking if she was okay. Lena kept lying. Fine, just stressed. Midterms. But at night she dreamed about Derek's face. Tyler's confession. The weight of knowing and doing nothing. Then her phone rang at 2 a.m. Unknown number. She almost didn't answer. "Hello?" Heavy breathing, then, "Is this Lena Carter?" "Who is this?" "My name is Sarah Mitchell. I got your number from someone who said you might be able to help." Lena sat up. "Help with what?" "My ex. The restraining order isn't working. The police say they can't do anything unless he actually does something. But I know he's going to. I can feel it. And I don't know who else to call." The room felt very cold. "Who gave you my number?" "I can't. He said not to say, just that you'd understand, that you'd know someone who could help when the law can't." Adrian. "I can't help you," Lena said. "Please. I've tried everything. Filed reports, got the order, moved twice. He keeps finding me, and the police say there's nothing they can do until he actually hurts me, but by then it'll be too late." Everything in Lena wanted to hang up. Forget this. Not be part of whatever Adrian was building. But Sarah's voice was breaking, desperate, scared. "What's your ex's name?" Lena heard herself ask. "Marcus Webb. He's dangerous, and he's going to kill me. I know he is." Lena closed her eyes. "I need to think about this. Please don't take too long. I don't have much time." The line went dead. Lena sat in the dark, phone in her hand, and realized she'd already made her choice. She was in, all the way in, and there was no going back. Lena called Adrian at 6 a.m. He answered on the second ring, voice alert like he'd been awake for hours. "You got the call." "You gave her my number." I gave her an option. What she does with it is her choice. Don't. Lena's hand tightened on the phone. Don't pretend this is about choice. You're manipulating her. Manipulating me. I'm connecting someone who needs help with someone who can provide it. That's not manipulation, that's networking. It's entrapment. It's an introduction. What happens next is up to you. A pause. Did you look into Marcus Webb? She had. Spent 3 hours after Sarah's call digging through public records, court filings, police reports. Marcus Webb was 31, worked construction, had 2 priors for assault. His restraining order violation last month had been dismissed because Sarah couldn't prove he'd been the one texting her from blocked numbers. The system had given him a slap on the wrist and sent him on his way. He's escalating, Lena said. They always do. Question is what you're going to do about it. I don't know. Yes, you do. Otherwise you wouldn't have called. He was right. She hated that he was right. I need to meet her first, Sarah. I need to hear it from her directly. I'll set it up. Adrian's tone shifted, became almost gentle. You're doing the right thing. I'm doing something. I don't know if it's right. Right is subjective. Effective is measurable. Focus on that. The line went dead. Lena met Sarah Mitchell 2 days later at a coffee shop downtown, the kind of place with too many plants and baristas who looked like they'd rather be anywhere else. Sarah was smaller than Lena expected, maybe 5'2", with dark circles under her eyes that makeup couldn't quite hide. She looked like she hadn't slept in weeks. They sat in the back corner, away from windows. Thank you for meeting me, Sarah said, her hands wrapped around a coffee cup she wasn't drinking. I didn't know who else to call. Tell me what's happening. Sarah's story came out in fragments. She and Marcus had dated for 18 months. Things were good at first, then they weren't. He got possessive, jealous, started showing up at her work, accusing her of cheating, going through her phone. When she tried to leave, he'd threatened to kill himself, then threatened to kill her. I got the restraining order 3 months ago, Sarah said, but he doesn't care. He knows where I live, where I work. He sends messages from different numbers, shows up places I go. The police say there's nothing they can do until he actually violates the order in a way they can prove. Have you documented everything? Yes, photos, screenshots, everything. My lawyer says it's not enough. That Marcus is smart about staying just inside the legal boundaries. Lena knew that game. Abusers who understood the system well enough to exploit it. What do you want to happen? She asked. Sarah's laugh was broken. I want to feel safe. I want to sleep without checking the locks 5 times. I want to go to work without looking over my shoulder. I want my life back. That's not what I asked. What do you want to happen to Marcus? The question hung between them. I want him to stop, Sarah said quietly. I want him to leave me alone. I don't care how. I just want it to end. Lena pulled out her phone, showed Sarah a photo of Marcus from his social media. This is him? Yes. And you're certain he's going to escalate? He told me he would. Last message I got, he said if he can't have me, no one will. That's not a threat. That's a promise. Everything in Lena's legal training said to tell Sarah to go back to the police, file more reports, get better documentation. But she'd read enough cases to know how that ended. Sarah would do everything right, and Marcus would kill her anyway, and the system would wring its hands and promise to do better next time. I might know someone who can help, Lena said carefully, but it's not legal. And once you go down this road, you can't undo it. Sarah's eyes went sharp, focused. I don't care about legal. I care about alive. This person, he operates outside the system. He'll make Marcus stop, but his methods aren't what you'd call traditional. Will he hurt him? Probably. Good. No hesitation, no moral crisis, just cold certainty. When can we start? Lena made the call while Sarah waited. Adrian answered like he'd been expecting it. She's in, Lena said. Good. Bring her by tonight, 8 o'clock. Same address as before. Sarah drove her own car, following Lena to the industrial district. The whole way, Lena kept thinking she should turn around. Tell Sarah this was a mistake, that there had to be another way. But there wasn't. She knew there wasn't. Adrian was waiting inside, professional as always. He shook Sarah's hand, offered her coffee, made small talk about the weather. Then he got down to business. I need you to understand something, he said. What I do exists in a gray area. It's not legal. If it goes wrong, you could face consequences. So could Lena. So could I. You need to be certain this is what you want. It is, Sarah said without pause. Marcus has a routine. Tuesdays and Thursdays, he plays basketball at the rec center on 5th. Leaves around 9:30, walks to his truck alone. That's when I'll approach him. Approach him how? Carefully. I'll explain that his behavior toward you needs to stop. I'll give him options. Most people choose the smart option. And if he doesn't? Adrian's expression didn't change. Then I make the choice for him. Sarah nodded slowly. Will I know when it's done? You'll know. He'll either leave you alone or he'll be in police custody confessing to harassment. Either way, it ends. Okay? Sarah stood. Okay, do it. After she left, Lena stayed behind. She's going to regret this, she said. Maybe, but she'll be alive to regret it. Adrian started packing equipment into a bag. You don't have to be there Thursday. Yes, I do. Why? You've seen how this works. You don't need another demonstration. I need to see it through. I brought her to you. That makes me responsible. Adrian stopped packing, looked at her. You're changing. You realize that? I'm adapting. To what? To the world as it actually is, not how I wish it was. That's dangerous thinking, says the man who tortures people for confessions. I prefer strategic intervention, less syllables. He zipped the bag. Thursday at 9. Be ready. Lena spent the next 2 days trying to focus on school. She had an exam in evidence, a paper due for constitutional law, normal student things. But every time she sat down to study, all she could think about was Marcus Webb and what was going to happen Thursday night. Olivia noticed. You're doing it again, being weird, distant. What's going on with you? They were in the library, supposedly studying together. Lena's laptop was open to her notes, but she hadn't typed anything in 20 minutes. Just stressed, Lena said. About what? Your grades are perfect. You're top 5%. What do you have to be stressed about? Everything. The fact that I'm about to watch your father assault someone. The fact that I'm okay with it. The fact that I've become someone I don't recognize. Just life, Lena said. You know how it is. Actually, I don't. You used to tell me everything. Now I feel like I don't know you at all. The hurt in Olivia's voice was real and deserved. I'm sorry, Lena said. I've just had a lot on my mind. It's not about you. Is it about my dad? Lena's heart stopped. What? The study group. You've been weird ever since that first night at his place. Did something happen? Did he say something that upset you? If you only knew. No. Your dad's been great. Really helpful, actually. Then what is it? Lena wanted to tell her. Wanted to explain that everything Olivia believed about her father was true and also completely false. That Adrian Vale was exactly the brilliant, principled professor he appeared to be, and also a vigilante who operated outside the law because he'd decided the law wasn't good enough. But she couldn't, because that would destroy Olivia. And for all her faults, Lena wasn't willing to do that. I'm just figuring some stuff out, Lena said finally, about what kind of lawyer I want to be, what kind of person. And you can't talk to me about it? Not yet, but I will, when I have answers instead of just questions. Olivia didn't look convinced, but she let it drop. They studied in silence for another hour, then Olivia left for a meeting with her advisor. Lena stayed in the library until it closed, then went home and didn't sleep. Thursday came too fast. She met Adrian at 8:30, different location this time. A parking garage 2 blocks from the rec center. He was already there, sitting in his car, watching the entrance. He's been inside for 40 minutes, Adrian said when Lena got in the passenger seat. Should be out soon. What's the plan? I approach him in the parking lot, explain the situation, give him a chance to do the right thing. If he refuses, we move to plan B. Which is less pleasant conversation in a more private location. Lena's stomach twisted. The warehouse? No, somewhere new. Can't use the same place twice. Pattern recognition. They sat in silence, watching. At 9:27, Marcus Webb emerged from the rec center. Tall, muscular, exactly the kind of guy who knew he could intimidate people physically. He walked to his truck, gym bag over his shoulder, looking at his phone. Adrian got out of the car. Stay here unless I signal otherwise. What's the signal? You'll know. He crossed the parking lot with purpose, intercepting Marcus before he reached his truck. Lena couldn't hear the conversation from this distance, but she could see Marcus's body language shift from confused to defensive to aggressive. Marcus shoved Adrian. Bad move. Adrian didn't fight back, didn't escalate, just stood there, said something else. Marcus laughed, shook his head, started to walk away. Then Adrian showed him something on his phone. Marcus stopped, went very still. Whatever he was seeing, it changed everything. They talked for another minute, then Marcus nodded, got in his truck, and drove away. Adrian walked back to the car, got in. He's going to leave Sarah alone. That's it? You just talked to him? I showed him what happens to people who don't listen to reason, photos from previous cases, enough to make him understand I'm not making empty threats. And he believed you? He believed the evidence. Sometimes fear is more effective than force. Adrian started the car. It's done. Sarah's safe. Just like that. Just like that. Lena wanted to feel relieved, but all she felt was hollow. What if he doesn't keep his word? Then I follow up, but he will. Men like Marcus are cowards. They only hurt people who can't fight back. The second they meet real consequences, they fold. They drove in silence for a while. Then Lena said, "How many people have you done this to?" Done what to? This, the interventions, the confessions, all of it. Adrian was quiet for a long time. Enough to know it works. Not enough to make a difference in the overall problem. That's not an answer. It's the only one I have. He dropped her at her car. She sat there for 20 minutes after he left, trying to process what had just happened. It seemed too easy, too clean. No violence, no torture, just a conversation and some photos, and Marcus Webb had folded. Maybe Adrian was right. Maybe this was how it worked when you operated outside the system. No bureaucracy, no procedural delays, just direct intervention and immediate results. Her phone buzzed. Sarah. He called me, said he's sorry, that he's leaving me alone, that he's getting help. Sarah. I don't know what you did, but thank you. Thank you so much. Lena stared at the messages. This should feel good. This should feel like victory. So why did she feel like she'd just crossed a line she'd never be able to uncross? The next few weeks settled into an uneasy rhythm. Classes, study group, normal life. Except nothing felt normal anymore. Lena kept waiting for the other shoe to drop, for Marcus to change his mind, for Sarah to report what happened, for someone to figure out what Adrian was doing. But nothing happened. Marcus stayed away. Sarah got her life back. The system never knew it had failed, and Lena tried to pretend that was enough. Then Adrian asked her to stay after class one Thursday. I need your help with something, he said when everyone else had left. Another case? A request from someone who needs what we do. We. The word felt dangerous. I thought I was just observing. You were. But you've proven you can handle it, and I need someone I can trust. Trust to do what? Adrian pulled up a file on his laptop. Her name is Jennifer Moss, 34, single mother of 2. Her ex-husband has been abusing their kids during visitation. Physical abuse, emotional abuse. She's reported it to CPS, to the police, to the courts. Everyone says there's not enough evidence. Meanwhile, her kids come home from his place with bruises and nightmares. Lena's chest tightened. Kids? 7 and 9, boy and a girl. The system is failing them because the ex is smart about it. Never leaves marks that last. Never does anything in front of witnesses. And family court defaults to maintaining parental rights unless there's overwhelming proof of danger. What does she want us to do? Make it stop, however necessary. Lena looked at the file. Photos of 2 kids who should be smiling and weren't. Medical reports that documented injuries but couldn't prove their source. A system that was supposed to protect children and instead was feeding them to a predator every other weekend. This is different, she said. How? It's kids. That's not... We can't just... Can't what? Can't protect children because the law says their abuser has rights? That's exactly why this matters more. But if we get caught, if this goes wrong, those kids end up in foster care, or worse. And if we do nothing, they stay in the system that's already failing them. At least this way they have a chance. Lena wanted to say no, wanted to walk away, but she kept thinking about those kids going to their father's house, knowing what was waiting for them, and having no one who could stop it. "What's the plan?" she heard herself ask. Adrian smiled. Not happy, just satisfied. His name is Robert Moss, works as a pharmaceutical sales rep, travels a lot. Has the kids every other weekend per the custody agreement. Next visitation is in 4 days. And he's going to have a conversation with me that changes his perspective on parenting. You're going to threaten him. I'm going to explain the consequences of his actions in terms he can understand. Then I'm going to give him a choice. Give up custody voluntarily or face evidence of abuse that will end his parental rights permanently. What evidence? Jennifer said there's not enough. There will be. I'm very good at documentation. The implication hung between them. Adrian was going to manufacture evidence, fake it, plant it, whatever it took. That's fraud, Lena said. That's protection. The evidence will be convincing enough to hold up in court. Robert will have 2 options, walk away quietly or fight it and lose everything. Most people choose quiet. And if he doesn't? Then we go to plan B, which you don't need to know about unless it becomes necessary. Lena closed her eyes. Every part of her legal training was screaming that this was wrong. Fabricating evidence was a felony. It was exactly the kind of corruption the system was designed to prevent. But 2 kids were being abused and the system couldn't stop it. When? She asked. Tomorrow night. I'll text you the details. She should have said no, should have walked away, should have reported Adrian to the bar association, the police, someone who could stop this before it went any further. But she didn't. Because somewhere along the way, she'd stopped believing the system could fix itself. The next night, Lena found herself in another parking lot, watching another confrontation unfold. This time, it was outside a hotel where Robert Moss was staying for a conference. Adrian approached him with a folder full of photos, medical records, testimony from witnesses who didn't exist. From the car, Lena watched Robert's face cycle through confusion, anger, fear, calculation. Watched Adrian present him with a choice. Watched Robert make it. 20 minutes later, Adrian returned. He's signing away custody. Jennifer will have sole parental rights by the end of the week. Just like that. Just like that. Adrian started the car. 2 kids are safe. That's what matters. Lena wanted to agree, wanted to feel good about what they'd just done, but all she felt was tired. Over the next month, there were 3 more cases. A stalker who wouldn't leave his victim alone, a landlord sexually harassing tenants, a boss using his position to coerce employees into silence. Each time, Adrian approached with evidence and threats. Each time, the target backed down. Each time, someone who'd been failed by the system got justice through means the law would never condone. And each time, Lena was there, watching, learning, becoming something she didn't have a name for. Study group continued like normal. Olivia still had no idea what her father really did. The other students saw Adrian as a brilliant professor and nothing more. Life went on. But Lena felt herself changing. She stopped flinching at the lies, stopped questioning whether this was right, started thinking in terms of efficiency and results instead of ethics and procedure. She was becoming like Adrian, and the scariest part was how little that bothered her anymore. Then everything changed. It started with a case that seemed routine. Woman named Amanda Pierce, 26, being harassed by her boss. Classic hostile work environment, inappropriate comments, unwanted touching, threats of termination if she reported him. She'd gone to HR twice. Both times they'd sided with the boss. Adrian took the case. Standard intervention. Approach the boss, present evidence, offer the choice. Except this time the boss didn't fold. His name was Gregory Chen, 42, senior partner at a corporate law firm. Rich, connected, used to getting what he wanted. When Adrian approached him, Gregory laughed in his face. "You think you can threaten me? I have lawyers that'll bury you. Try it." Adrian tried, showed him the evidence, the testimony, the pattern of behavior. Gregory wasn't impressed. "Prove it in court." "Oh, wait, you can't, because Amanda's already signed an NDA as a condition of her employment. Anything she says about me or the firm is a breach of contract. She talks, she loses everything." It was airtight. Gregory had protected himself legally, made sure his victims couldn't speak without destroying their own lives. Adrian left the meeting with nothing. 2 days later, Amanda Pierce tried to kill herself. Overdose. They found her in time, rushed her to the hospital, saved her life. But the damage was done. Gregory Chen went on with his life like nothing had happened. and Adrian Vale decided that wasn't acceptable. He called Lena at midnight. "I need you to make a choice," he said. "No preamble, no warmth." "What happened?" "Gregory Chen. He thinks he's untouchable. He's wrong." "Adrian, he's destroyed lives. Dozens of women over the years, all silenced by NDAs and settlements and fear. Amanda tried to die because of him, and the law can't touch him. So what are you going to do?" Silence. Then, "What needs to be done? Question is whether you're with me or not." Lena's hands were shaking. "What does that mean?" "It means this one doesn't end with a conversation. This one ends with consequences. Real ones. And I need to know if you're willing to be part of that." "You're talking about hurting him. I'm talking about justice. That's not justice. That's revenge. Call it what you want. He hurt Amanda. He's going to hurt more people. Someone has to stop him." "Not like this." "Then how? What's your solution? Another report to HR? Another victim afraid to speak? Another suicide attempt?" Adrian's voice was hard now, cold. "I've tried it your way. I've tried working within the system, and people keep getting hurt, so now I'm done trying. You're going to do this whether I help or not." "Yes, but I'd rather have you with me. I trust you, Lena. I need someone who understands why this matters." She should hang up, call the police, stop this before it went too far. But part of her, the part that had been growing since that first night in Adrian's house, understood exactly what he meant. Gregory Chen was a predator who'd learned to weaponize the legal system, and the only way to stop him was to operate outside it. "What do you need me to do?" she asked. And just like that, the line was crossed. Adrian picked her up at 2 a.m. No explanation of where they were going, just an address sent to her phone and a time. Lena drove there on autopilot, every rational part of her brain screaming to turn around while her hands kept steering forward. The address was a storage facility on the edge of town, the kind of place that rented units by the month and didn't ask questions. Adrian's car was already there, parked in front of Unit 47. He was leaning against the hood, arms crossed, waiting. "You came," he said when she got out. "I said I would." Saying and doing are different things, especially when it's this. Lena looked at the storage unit. "Is he in there?" "Not yet. We'll be in about 20 minutes. Gregory has a habit of visiting one of his victims late at night. Woman named Stephanie Ross, junior associate at his firm. She lives 3 blocks from here. He'll stop by on his way home, let himself in with the key she doesn't know he copied, spend an hour, and leave. Routine he's followed for 6 months. How do you know all this? I've been watching him for 3 days, learning his patterns. Predators are creatures of habit." Lena's stomach twisted. "And when he leaves, he takes this route, cuts through the alley behind these units because it shaves 2 minutes off his drive. That's where we'll be waiting." "To do what?" Adrian opened the trunk of his car. Inside was rope, duct tape, and something that looked like a taser. "To have a conversation he can't walk away from." "Adrian, we can't kidnap someone." "We're not kidnapping, we're detaining. There's a difference." "Not legally, there isn't." "Good thing we stopped caring about legal a while ago." He pulled out the taser, checked the charge. "I need you to understand something. Gregory Chen has hurt at least 15 women that I can confirm. Probably more. He uses his position, his money, his connections to make sure they can't fight back. And when someone like Amanda tries, he crushes them. The law won't touch him because he's built his whole life around being untouchable. So we become criminals instead. We become what's necessary." Adrian closed the trunk. "You can still leave. Drive away. Pretend this never happened. I won't hold it against you." Lena looked at the storage unit, at Adrian, at her car keys in her hand. Every piece of her that still believed in justice, in procedure, in the system, said to go. But she thought about Amanda Pierce in a hospital bed, about Stephanie Ross living with a man who had a key she didn't know about 15 women whose lives Gregory had destroyed while the law did nothing. "What do you need me to do?" she asked. Adrian's expression didn't change, but something in his eyes shifted. "When he comes through that alley, you'll approach him from the front, pretend you're lost, need directions. While he's distracted, I'll come from behind with the taser. He goes down, we get him into the unit, have our conversation. And then he makes a choice. Resign from the firm, liquidate his assets, pay restitution to every woman he's hurt, and disappear. Or we send everything we have to the media, the bar association, every contact we can find. He loses everything anyway, but publicly. That's extortion. That's consequences. Adrian checked his watch. 15 minutes. Get in position. They separated. Adrian disappeared into the shadows near the storage units. Lena walked to the mouth of the alley, heart hammering so hard she could hear it in her ears. This was insane. This was criminal. This was everything she'd sworn never to become. But she didn't leave. At 2:47, headlights appeared. A sleek Mercedes slowed, turned into the alley. Gregory Chen, right on schedule. Lena stepped into the beam of his headlights. The car stopped. Window rolled down. Gregory's face appeared, irritated. "You're in the way." "I'm so sorry," Lena put on her best helpless voice. "I'm completely lost. My phone died and I can't figure out how to get back to the highway." "Not my problem." He started rolling the window up. "Please, I've been driving around for an hour. If you could just move now." Lena stepped closer to the driver's side, blocking his view of the mirror. Behind the car, Adrian emerged from the shadows, silent as smoke. Gregory saw her standing there and put the car in park, clearly about to get out and physically move her. He opened the door, one foot hitting the pavement. Adrian hit him with the taser. Gregory went down hard, body convulsing. Adrian caught him before he hit the ground, dragged him toward the storage unit while Lena stood frozen, watching it happen. "Car," Adrian said. "Move it." She did. Got in Gregory's Mercedes, hands shaking so badly she could barely turn the key, and drove it deeper into the alley where it wouldn't be visible from the street. By the time she killed the engine, Adrian had Gregory inside the unit, zip-tied to a chair, duct tape ready. The space was empty except for a camping lantern that cast harsh shadows on the concrete walls. Gregory was starting to come around, groaning, eyes unfocused. What the hell?" Adrian removed his wallet, checked his ID. "Gregory Chen, senior partner at Morrison, Chen and Associates. Father of 2. Married 20 years. Respectable on paper, predator in practice." "Who are you? What do you want?" "Answers, accountability, things you've avoided your entire career." Gregory's eyes focused enough to take in the situation. His face went from confused to scared to calculating in seconds. "You're making a mistake. I have connections, resources. Whatever you think you're doing, it's not worth it." "Stephanie Ross." Adrian pulled out a folder. "Amanda Pierce, Lauren Mitchell, Jessica Tang. Should I keep going or do you recognize the names yet?" Something in Gregory's expression cracked, just for a second. "I don't know what you're talking about." "Yes, you do. These are women you harassed, assaulted, silenced with NDAs and threats. Women whose careers you destroyed because they wouldn't sleep with you." "That's a lie. I never—" Adrian slapped him. Not hard, just enough to shock. "Don't. I've spent 3 days documenting your entire pattern. I know about the late-night visits, the unwanted touching, the explicit messages you send from burner phones. I know everything." Gregory's jaw tightened. "You can't prove any of that. I don't need to prove it in court. I just need to prove it to the court of public opinion. One email to the right journalist and your life is over. I'll sue you for defamation." "With what? The evidence that proves you're guilty?" "Go ahead. I'd love to see you try to defend yourself under oath." Lena watched the exchange from the corner, her role apparently over now that Gregory was secured. Part of her wanted to leave. The other part couldn't look away. "What do you want?" Gregory asked finally. "Money? I can pay—" "I don't want your money. I want you gone. Out of that firm, away from those women, erased from the legal community. That's my career, my life. You can't just—" "I can. And I will. Unless you do it yourself." Adrian pulled out a piece of paper and a pen. "Resignation letter, effective immediately. You'll cite health reasons, claim you need to step away from the stress. You'll recommend the firm hire an outside consultant to review workplace policies, and you'll never practice law again." "No, absolutely not." "Then we do this the hard way." Adrian pulled out his phone, started typing. Email drafted. Subject: Evidence of sexual harassment and assault by Gregory Chen. Recipients include the New York Times, the Washington Post, the American Bar Association, and every major legal publication in the country. One click, and your face is on the front page. "You're bluffing." Adrian held up the phone so Gregory could see the screen. The email was real, ready to send. "I've got 17 documented cases, photos, messages, testimony. Some of these women are ready to go on record if it means stopping you. So you tell me, you want to fight this publicly or you want to disappear quietly? Gregory stared at the screen. The calculation was happening behind his eyes. Fighting meant exposure. Exposure meant losing everything, his career, his reputation, probably his marriage. Walking away meant he kept some dignity, some control. If I resign, he said slowly, this goes away? All of it? The criminal stuff? Yes, the civil stuff. That's between you and your victims. But I'll make sure they know you're gone, that you can't hurt anyone else. And if I refuse, then tomorrow morning, the world knows what you are. And trust me, Gregory, that's not a world you want to live in. The silence stretched. Lena could hear traffic in the distance, the hum of the lantern, Gregory's breathing. Fine, he said finally. I'll resign. Adrian handed him the paper and pen. Write it, now. Gregory wrote. His hand shook. The letters came out jagged, but he wrote. Resignation effective immediately. Health reasons. Full recommendation for policy review. When he finished, Adrian took the paper, photographed it. Good. Now here's what happens next. Tomorrow morning, you'll deliver this to your managing partner. You'll clean out your office. You'll leave. And you'll never contact any of those women again. Not to apologize, not to threaten, not for any reason. They're done with you. Okay. Can I go now? One more thing. Adrian leaned in close. If I hear you've gone back on this deal, if I find out you're practicing law somewhere else under a different name, if you so much as think about hurting another woman, I'll finish what we started here. And next time, there won't be a conversation. Understand? Gregory nodded. I understand. Adrian cut the zip ties. Gregory stumbled to his feet, rubbing his wrists. Your car's in the alley. Keys are in the ignition. Drive home. Tomorrow morning, deliver the letter. After that, disappear. Gregory didn't need to be told twice. He stumbled out of the storage unit, found his car, and drove away with his taillights disappearing into the night. Lena stood there, unable to move. What they'd just done was assault, kidnapping, extortion, every crime in the book, and Gregory had folded without even putting up a real fight. It's done, Adrian said, packing up the equipment. Gregory's out. Those women are safe. We just committed multiple felonies. We did. And because of it, 15 women won't have to live in fear anymore. He closed the storage unit, locked it. That's the trade. Our freedom for their safety. I can live with that. Can you? Really? I have to. Because the alternative is letting people like Gregory destroy lives while the law shrugs and says there's nothing we can do. He turned to her. You did good tonight. You didn't freeze, didn't panic, played your part perfectly. I feel sick. That's normal. It'll pass. Will it? Because I don't feel like this is something you just get over. You don't get over it. You get used to it. There's a difference. Adrian unlocked his car. Go home. Sleep. Tomorrow everything looks different. But it didn't. Tomorrow came and Lena felt exactly the same, hollowed out, disconnected, like she was watching her life happen to someone else. Gregory Chen delivered his resignation. The firm accepted it, released a statement about his health issues, wished him well. Stephanie Ross called Amanda Pierce to tell her he was gone. Amanda cried. Relief, trauma, something between the two. And Lena went to class, took notes, studied for finals, pretended to be normal. But something had fundamentally shifted. She'd crossed from observer to participant, from witness to accomplice, and there was no going back. The semester ended. Finals came and went. Lena maintained her grades, kept her scholarship, did everything right on paper. But she'd stopped sleeping through the night, stopped being able to concentrate on case law without thinking about Gregory in that storage unit, Derek bleeding in Adrian's office, Tyler confessing under threat. Study group met one last time before winter break. Everyone was exhausted, ready to go home. They ordered Chinese food, complained about evidence, made plans for next semester. Olivia pulled Lena aside after. You're leaving for break, right? Going home? Yeah, 3 weeks with my mom. Should be fun. Fun like root canal. Olivia smiled. You seem better, though. Less stressed. Do I? Yeah, I don't know what you were dealing with this semester, but you seem like you've figured it out. Lena wanted to laugh. Or cry. She'd figured out exactly nothing except how easy it was to become someone you'd never imagined being. Thanks, she said instead. You too. They hugged. Lena held on maybe a second too long, wanting to tell Olivia everything and knowing she never could. 3 days later, Lena was packing for break when her phone rang. Unknown number. She almost didn't answer, but something made her pick up. Hello? Lena Carter? A woman's voice, strained, scared. Who is this? My name is Nicole Bradford. Adrian Vale gave me your number. He said you help people when the system can't. Lena closed her eyes. Of course Adrian had given out her number again. Of course he was pulling her deeper. What do you need? She asked, even though she already knew the answer. Nicole's story was familiar by now. Abusive ex, restraining order that didn't work, police who couldn't help, fear that was eating her alive. I don't know what else to do, Nicole said. Adrian said you'd understand, that you'd know someone who could make it stop. I do. But Nicole, you need to understand what you're asking for. This isn't legal. If it goes wrong, people could get hurt, including you. I'm already hurt. I just want to feel safe again. Those words. Lena had heard them so many times now. From Sarah, from Amanda, from women whose names she didn't even know. Women who'd been failed by every system meant to protect them. Okay, Lena said. I'll make some calls. She hung up and immediately called Adrian. He answered like he'd been waiting. She reached you. You gave her my number without asking. You would have said yes anyway. I just saved time. This can't keep happening. You can't keep dragging me into these cases. I'm not dragging you anywhere. You're choosing to be involved. There's a difference. Is there? Because from here it feels a lot like manipulation. Call it what you want. Nicole needs help. Are you going to provide it or not? Lena looked at her suitcase, half packed, at her plane ticket home for break, at her life that was supposed to be normal and simple and nothing like this. When? She asked. After break, January. We'll handle it then. Fine. Lena. Adrian's voice softened. I know this is hard. I know you're struggling with what we do, but you're making a difference. You're saving lives. That has to count for something. Does it? Or are we just becoming the thing we're fighting against? We're becoming what's necessary. Whether that makes us good or bad is irrelevant. What matters is the result. She wanted to argue, wanted to tell him he was wrong, but she was tired of fighting battles she knew she wouldn't win. I'll see you in January, she said, and hung up. Break was supposed to be restful. 3 weeks away from school, from Adrian, from everything. But Lena couldn't escape it. Every news story about assault, every mention of the justice system, every conversation about crime pulled her back. Her mother noticed. You seem distant. Everything okay at school? Fine, just tired. You're working too hard. You need to relax, enjoy life a little. If she only knew. Lena spent most of break in her childhood bedroom, staring at the ceiling, wondering how she'd gotten here, wondering if there was a way back. But she knew there wasn't. The person she'd been before that first night at Adrian's house, the girl who believed in justice, in procedure, in the law, she was gone. And whoever was left in her place, Lena didn't recognize her. January came too fast. Lena flew back early, told her mother she had things to prepare for the new semester. Really, she just couldn't stand being home anymore, pretending everything was normal. Adrian texted the day she got back. Tomorrow night, Nicole's case. Same routine. Lena showed up because she didn't know how not to anymore. They handled Nicole's ex the same way they'd handled all the others. Evidence, threats, choices. He folded. Nicole got her life back. And Lena felt nothing. No guilt, no satisfaction, just numbness. You're getting good at this, Adrian said afterward. Is that supposed to be a compliment? It's an observation. You don't hesitate anymore. Don't question. You see what needs to be done and you do it. That's not a good thing. It's a necessary thing. There's a difference. Lena was tired of that word. Necessary. Like it justified everything. Spring semester started. New classes, new professors, same study group. Everything should have been normal, but nothing was normal anymore. Lena couldn't sit through criminal procedure without thinking about all the ways they were breaking procedure. Couldn't discuss constitutional rights without remembering how many rights they'd violated. Couldn't talk about justice without feeling like a fraud. And then one night in February, everything fell apart. She was studying in the library when Olivia found her, face streaked with tears. "What's wrong?" Lena asked. "My dad. Someone filed a complaint with the Bar Association. Anonymous. Claims he's been conducting vigilante operations, extorting people, assault. It's insane. It's all lies." Lena's blood went cold. "What?" "They're investigating him. Talking to former clients, students, everyone. Asking questions about his behavior, his methods. Lena, this could destroy him. Who filed the complaint?" "They won't say. Anonymous tip. But someone is trying to ruin him, and I don't know why." Lena's mind was racing. Who knew? Who'd figured it out? Gregory Chen, one of the others, or someone else entirely? "I'm sure it's nothing," she heard herself say. "Your dad's careful. He wouldn't what? Wouldn't operate outside the law? Of course he wouldn't. But someone is saying he did, and now everything he's built is at risk." Olivia was looking at her, desperate for reassurance. And Lena wanted to give it to her, wanted to say it would all be fine. But she knew better, because the complaint wasn't lies. It was truth. And truth had a way of destroying everything. "What can I do?" Lena asked. "I don't know. Just be there? He's going to need character witnesses, people who can vouch for him." Character witnesses. To lie under oath about a man who'd been doing exactly what he was accused of. "Of course," Lena said. "Whatever he needs." That night, Adrian called her. "You heard?" "Olivia told me. Who was it?" "I don't know yet, but someone talked. Someone we've dealt with went to the Bar Association with enough detail to trigger an investigation." "What do we do?" "We wait, see what they have, then we decide how to respond." He paused. "This could get bad, Lena. If they dig deep enough, they'll find evidence. And when they do, it won't just be me going down. It'll be you too." The words hung there, real, heavy. "I know," she said. "You can still walk away. Say I manipulated you, coerced you, play the victim, they might believe it. And let you take the fall alone? Better one of us than both." Lena thought about that, about saving herself by sacrificing him, about going back to being the person she'd been before all this started. But she couldn't, because that person was gone. And whoever she was now, she'd made these choices, all of them, with open eyes. "No," she said. "We're in this together." "That's a mistake." "Probably, but it's mine to make." Adrian was quiet for a long moment. Then, "Thank you. Don't thank me yet. This might still destroy us both." "Maybe, but at least we did something that mattered." The investigation took 3 weeks. 3 weeks of interviews, document reviews, depositions, 3 weeks of Lena waiting for the knock on her door. It never came. Instead, the Bar Association closed the investigation, citing insufficient evidence. Anonymous complaints weren't enough without corroboration. None of Adrian's former clients would go on record. The case fell apart. Adrian kept his license, kept his job, kept everything. And Lena realized someone had protected them. Someone with enough power to make an investigation disappear. She asked Adrian about it once. He just smiled. "I told you I have connections. Sometimes they're useful." "Who?" "Better you don't know. Plausible deniability." So Lena didn't push. Just accepted that they'd dodged a bullet and tried to move on. But something had changed. The investigation had proven they weren't untouchable, that eventually consequences would find them. It was just a matter of time. The weeks after the investigation closed felt like living underwater. Everything looked the same on the surface, but moved differently, sounded muffled, carried weight that hadn't been there before. Lena tried to fall back into routine. Classes, study sessions, coffee with Olivia, who kept thanking her for standing by her dad during the investigation. Each thank you felt like a knife. "I knew it was all lies," Olivia said over lunch one day. "My dad would never do those things. He's too principled." Lena nodded, pushed food around her plate, said nothing. But the truth was catching up to them. Not through investigations or complaints, but through something neither of them had anticipated. It started small. Adrian canceling a study group session, then another, then skipping his own office hours, something he'd never done. When Lena finally caught him leaving campus late one Thursday, he looked exhausted in a way that had nothing to do with lack of sleep. "We need to talk," she said. "Not here." They drove separately to a park on the edge of town, the kind of place where people walk dogs and push strollers and live normal lives. They sat on a bench overlooking a pond while the sun set, and Adrian stared at the water like it held answers. "I'm stopping," he said finally. Lena turned to look at him. "What?" "The interventions, the cases, all of it. I'm done." "Since when?" "Since I realized we almost lost everything. The investigation was a warning. Next time we might not be so lucky." "You had it closed. Your connections, my connections won't protect me forever. And they definitely won't protect you." He finally looked at her. "I never should have involved you in this. You were a student. You had your whole career ahead of you. I ruined that." "You didn't ruin anything. I made my own choices." "Did you? Or did I manipulate someone half my age into becoming an accomplice to crimes she never would have committed on her own?" The question sat between them, heavy and uncomfortable. "Both," Lena said quietly. "You pushed. I let myself be pushed. We're both responsible." Adrian rubbed his face. "I keep thinking about Amanda Pierce, about how she tried to kill herself because the system failed her. And I thought I was fixing that, thought I was making things better." "You were. Gregory resigned. She's safe." "Is she? Or did I just teach her that justice only comes through violence? That the law is meaningless unless backed by threats?" He shook his head. "I've been operating on the assumption that the ends justify the means. But lately I can't stop wondering if I've just become another kind of predator, one who thinks his intentions make him righteous." Lena had never heard him like this. Uncertain, questioning, almost broken. "What changed?" she asked. "You did. Watching you transform from someone who believed in the system to someone who'd help kidnap a man in a parking lot, that changed me. Because I did that to you. I took someone good and made them into something else. I'm still good." "Are you? Can you honestly say the person you are now is someone you recognize?" She couldn't. That was the problem. They sat in silence while the sun finished setting and the park emptied around them. Finally, Lena said, "So what happens now? Now we stop. No more cases, no more interventions. We go back to being what we're supposed to be, professor and student, nothing more." "And all the people who still need help? They'll have to find it somewhere else. I can't keep doing this. I can't keep destroying people in the name of saving them." Lena wanted to argue, wanted to point out all the women they'd helped, all the predators they'd stopped. But she was tired too, tired of lying, tired of carrying weight that kept getting heavier, tired of being someone she didn't recognize. "Okay," she said. "We stop." Adrian nodded, stood. "I'm sorry, Lena, for all of it." He walked away, got in his car, and drove off. Left her sitting on that bench wondering what she was supposed to do with all the guilt and anger and confusion that had nowhere to go now. But stopping wasn't as simple as deciding to stop. 2 weeks later, Lena got a call at 3 in the morning. Nicole Bradford, the woman whose ex they'd dealt with in January. She was crying so hard Lena could barely understand her. "He came back. He broke the restraining order. He broke into my house and he—" The words dissolved into sobs. Lena's blood went cold. "Are you safe right now?" "I'm at my sister's. But Lena, he said he knows. About what you and that man did. About the threats. He said if I go to the police about tonight, he'll report you both. He'll—" "Slow down. What happened tonight?" Nicole's story came out in pieces. Her ex, Mark, had broken into her apartment, assaulted her, told her he knew she'd gotten help from someone operating outside the law, told her he had evidence, told her if she reported the assault, he'd make sure whoever helped her went to prison. "He's been recording everything," Nicole said, "following me, watching my house. He knows Adrian's name. He knows yours. He said he's been building a case and now he has enough." Lena's apartment suddenly felt very small. "Did you call the police about tonight?" "No, I was too scared. If he reports you—" "Listen to me. What he did tonight is assault, breaking and entering, violation of a restraining order. You need to report it. But you— Forget about me. Forget about Adrian. This is about you being safe. Call the police right now." I can't be responsible for you going to jail." "Nicole, if you don't report this, he wins. He gets to keep hurting you because he's using us as leverage. Don't let him do that." But Nicole was already crying again. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I just wanted to warn you. He's coming for you next." The line went dead. Lena sat in the dark, phone in her hand, and felt the walls closing in. She called Adrian. He answered on the first ring. Mark Bradford has evidence, recordings, photos, documentation. He's threatening to go to the police if Nicole reports the assault. When did this happen? Tonight. He broke into her house. She's terrified. Won't report it because she doesn't want to get us caught. Adrian was quiet for a long moment. This is what I was afraid of. We can't control the outcome once we set things in motion. Mark was always going to escalate. We just gave him ammunition to protect himself while doing it. So what do? Nothing. We wait. If he goes to the police, we deal with it then. But we don't make any moves that could be seen as intimidation or obstruction. Adrian, he assaulted her. We have to do nothing. The second we get involved again, we hand him exactly what he needs to bury us both. His voice was firm. I know it's hard, but this is the consequence of the choice we made to stop. We can't help everyone, and trying to will only make things worse. So Nicole just suffers? Nicole has options. She can report the assault, risk Mark exposing us, and trust that the legal system will protect her this time. Or she can stay quiet and stay safe. That's her choice to make, not ours. That's not a choice. No, but it's reality, and reality doesn't care what we want it to be. Lena hung up feeling sick. Nicole had come to them for help, and they'd intervened in a way that made her more vulnerable, not less. And now they couldn't do anything about it without risking everything. The next morning, Lena checked the news. Nothing about an assault, nothing about Nicole Bradford. She'd stayed silent, chosen safety over justice. Exactly what the system had trained victims to do. And Lena had to live with knowing she'd contributed to that. But 3 days later, everything changed again. She was in the library when Olivia found her, face pale. My dad's in the hospital. Lena's stomach dropped. What happened? Heart attack. They think it's stress-related. He's stable now, but... Olivia's voice cracked. He could have died, Lena, and I don't even know what he's been so stressed about. Lena did. Stress from operating in the shadows for years. Stress from the investigation. Stress from trying to fix a broken system while becoming part of the problem. Can I see him? He's not taking visitors yet, but he asked about you. Wanted to make sure you knew it wasn't serious. That sounded like Adrian, even from a hospital bed trying to control the narrative. Lena visited him 2 days later when they moved him out of intensive care. He looked smaller somehow, hooked up to monitors, the man who'd seemed invincible reduced to someone mortal and breakable. You look terrible, she said, sitting in the chair beside his bed. You should see the other guy. He tried to smile, but it didn't reach his eyes. Turns out the human body has limits. Who knew? Adrian, don't. Whatever you're about to say, don't. I know what this is. I know what caused it. Years of living with the weight of what we do, it catches up eventually. Then stop carrying it alone. I'm not alone. I've got you. The words hit harder than they should have, because it was true. They were in this together now, for better or worse. Mark Bradford has evidence, she said quietly. Nicole won't report the assault, and we can't do anything about it without making everything worse. Adrian nodded slowly. I know. I've been thinking about that. About all the ways our interventions created new problems while solving old ones. About whether we actually helped anyone or just rearranged the damage. We helped people. Rachel Kincaid, Madison Hayes. Did we? Or did we just teach them that justice requires violence? That the law is a joke unless backed by fear? He looked at the ceiling. I keep playing it back, every case, every choice, and I can't figure out anymore if I was doing the right thing for the wrong reasons or the wrong thing for right reasons. Does it matter? It's the only thing that matters. Intent is everything. It's what separates justice from revenge, protection from control. Lena thought about that. About all the times Adrian had said they were doing what was necessary. What the system couldn't. But maybe the system couldn't do it for a reason. Maybe operating outside the law didn't make you a hero, just a different kind of criminal who felt better about it. What do we do now? She asked. Now we face consequences. Whatever they are. But the consequences didn't come from Mark Bradford or the Bar Association or the police. They came from somewhere Lena never expected. She was leaving Adrian's hospital room when she ran into Olivia in the hallway. Can we talk? Olivia asked. They found an empty waiting room. Olivia shut the door. I need you to be honest with me, she said. What's going on with my dad? What do you mean? Don't. I'm not stupid, Lena. Something's been happening for months. He's been different, stressed, secretive. And you've been acting weird too, like you're both carrying something you can't talk about. Lena's heart was hammering. Liv, the investigation wasn't random, was it? Someone reported him for a reason, and you know what that reason is. This was it. The moment everything fell apart. Lena could lie, could protect Adrian, protect herself, protect the illusion that Olivia's father was exactly who she thought he was. Or she could tell the truth and watch Olivia's world shatter. Your dad, Lena said carefully, has been helping people the law couldn't help, people who were being hurt and had nowhere else to turn. Helping them how? In ways that weren't exactly legal. Olivia stared at her. What does that mean? It means when the system failed, he didn't. He intervened, stopped abusers, predators, people who were hurting others and getting away with it. By doing what? Lena took a breath. By scaring them, threatening them, forcing them to stop through methods the law wouldn't condone. The silence was deafening. You're telling me my dad is some kind of vigilante? I'm telling you he saw people suffering and decided to do something about it. By breaking the law. Yes. And you helped him. Lena met her eyes. Yes. Olivia's face went through a dozen emotions. Disbelief, anger, betrayal. How long? Since November. The first study group at his house. That was 8 months ago. You've been lying to me for 8 months. I was trying to protect you. From what? The truth about my own father? Olivia stood. You know what the worst part is? I trusted you. Both of you. I thought you were the one person who wouldn't lie to me. And this whole time, Liv, please, don't. Just, I need to think. I need to process this. She left before Lena could say anything else. And Lena sat in that waiting room alone, knowing she'd just destroyed the most important friendship she had. The next week was hell. Olivia wouldn't return her calls, wouldn't respond to texts, avoided her on campus. Adrian was released from the hospital with orders to reduce stress, which would have been funny if it wasn't so tragic. And then the letter came. It arrived at Lena's apartment on a Tuesday morning. Official law school letterhead. Request for a meeting with the dean regarding allegations of misconduct. Her hands shook as she read it. Someone had reported her. Whether it was Mark Bradford or Olivia or someone else entirely, it didn't matter. The consequences were here. She called Adrian. He had the same letter. We need to get our stories straight, he said. What stories? We did it, all of it. They're going to ask questions we can't answer without lying under oath. Then we lie. Adrian, what's the alternative? Tell the truth and destroy our careers? Go to prison? You want that? I want to stop feeling like I'm drowning. He was quiet. Then, meet me tonight, one last time. We figure this out together. They met at his house, the same place where this had all started. It felt like a lifetime ago that Lena had walked through that door expecting a study group and found something that changed her completely. Olivia knows, Adrian said when she arrived. She confronted me yesterday. I confirmed what you told her. How did she take it? About how you'd expect. Devastation, anger, betrayal. She's not speaking to me, moved out, staying with friends. The pain in his voice was real. For all his cold calculation, Adrian loved his daughter, and losing her was breaking him in ways the investigation and heart attack hadn't. I'm sorry, Lena said. Don't be. This was always going to end badly. We just didn't want to see it. He poured 2 glasses of whiskey, handed her one. The meeting with the dean is in 3 days. They'll ask what we've been doing, who we've been helping. They'll have evidence, or they wouldn't have called us in. So we tell the truth. That's career suicide. Maybe. But I'm tired of lying, tired of carrying this. If the consequence of trying to help people is losing my career, then that's what happens. Adrian looked at her for a long moment. You've changed. You noticed? I mean, you've changed back to the person you were before all this, the one who believed in doing the right thing even when it's hard. I never stopped being that person. I just forgot for a while. And now? Now I remember that justice through fear isn't justice at all. It's just a different kind of abuse. and I can't be part of that anymore. Adrian nodded slowly. I think I knew that. I just didn't want to admit it. He finished his whiskey. When we go in there, I'm taking full responsibility. I'll tell them you were coerced, manipulated, too afraid to say no. They'll sanction me, probably take my license, but you'll be okay. That's not what happened. It's close enough, and it gives you a future. I don't want a future built on throwing you under the bus. Then what do you want? Lena thought about that, about the last 8 months, about Derek and Tyler and Gregory and all the others, about the women they'd helped and the lines they'd crossed and the weight of choices that couldn't be undone. I want to tell the truth, she said finally. The whole truth. What you did, what I did, why we did it. Let them decide what happens next. That's naive. Maybe. But it's honest. And I need to be honest about something in my life. Adrian smiled, sad, resigned, almost proud. You're going to make a hell of a lawyer, Lena Carter, even if it's not in the way I intended. The meeting with the dean went exactly as badly as expected. They sat across from Dean Morrison, a woman in her 60s who'd seen everything the legal profession had to offer and wasn't impressed by any of it. She had files spread across her desk, evidence, testimony, documentation that someone had compiled meticulously. Professor Vale, Ms. Carter, thank you for coming. She didn't sound thankful. We've received allegations regarding your conduct over the past 8 months, specifically claims that you've been operating outside legal boundaries to intimidate, threaten, and coerce individuals. That's accurate, Adrian said. Dean Morrison's eyebrows rose. You're admitting it? I am. I've been intervening in cases where the legal system failed to protect victims of abuse. My methods were unorthodox and legally questionable. Ms. Carter had nothing to do with it. That's not true, Lena said. Adrian shot her a look. She ignored it. I participated willingly, Lena continued. I witnessed interventions. I was present during confrontations. I made choices knowing they were illegal. Professor Vale didn't coerce me. Ms. Carter, you understand what you're saying could result in criminal charges? I understand, but I'm done lying about it. Dean Morrison leaned back. Walk me through it. Start with the first incident. So they did. Lena and Adrian took turns explaining. Derek Lowe, Tyler Brennan, Gregory Chen, all the others. What they'd done, why they'd done it, how it had escalated from observation to participation to complicity. By the end, Dean Morrison looked tired. You realize this is everything we teach students not to do. You violated every ethical standard, broken multiple laws, and destroyed your own credibility in the process. Yes, Adrian said, and yet you continued. Because the alternative was letting people suffer. I couldn't do that. So you appointed yourself judge and jury. I appointed myself last resort. There's a difference. Not legally, there isn't. She closed the files. Professor Vale, you're suspended pending a full investigation. If even half of what you've admitted is verified, you'll lose your position and likely your license. Ms. Carter, you're suspended from all classes pending review. Your scholarship is revoked effective immediately. The words hit like physical blows. Lena had known they were coming, but hearing them made it real. There's one more thing, Dean Morrison said. The person who filed the complaint. Would you like to know who it was? Lena already knew. Had to be Mark Bradford or Gregory Chen seeking revenge. It was Olivia Vale. The room tilted. Adrian went white. My daughter? She came to me 2 weeks ago with documentation, screenshots of messages, photos, testimony from Nicole Bradford and others. She said she couldn't let it continue, that her father had become someone she didn't recognize. Adrian looked like he'd been shot. She destroyed her own father's career. She reported misconduct. What we do with that information is our responsibility, not hers. Dean Morrison stood. You're both dismissed. We'll be in touch regarding next steps. They left the office in silence, walked across campus without speaking, ended up at Adrian's car where he sat down hard on the hood and put his head in his hands. She reported me, he said. Olivia, my own daughter. She did what she thought was right. She destroyed me. You destroyed yourself. She just made sure there were consequences. Adrian looked at her with something like desperation. Was any of it worth it? Everything we did? Everyone we helped? Did it matter? Lena thought about Rachel and Madison and all the others, about women who got to sleep without fear because someone had intervened when the system couldn't. It mattered to them, she said, but that doesn't make it right. Then what was the point? I don't know. Maybe there isn't one. Maybe we just tried to fix something broken and broke ourselves in the process. They sat there as the sun set, two people who tried to be heroes and ended up being cautionary tales instead. The investigation took 6 weeks. During that time, Lena moved back home with her mother, got a job waiting tables, tried to figure out what came next. She'd lost her scholarship, her place at the law school, her entire future. But she'd gained something too. Honesty. The ability to sleep at night. A sense that even though she'd made terrible choices, at least she was facing them instead of running. The Bar Association findings came down in May. Adrian was disbarred, lost his teaching position, faced potential criminal charges that were dropped only because most of his victims declined to press charges. They'd gotten what they needed when he'd intervened, and dragging it through court would only cause more pain. Lena was banned from attending any law school in the state. Her academic record was marked permanently. Any career in law was over before it started. She was helping her mother with dinner one night when the doorbell rang. Olivia stood on the porch. They hadn't spoken since the hospital, hadn't been in the same room since Lena had admitted the truth. "Can I come in?" Olivia asked. They sat on the back porch while the sun set, neither knowing how to start. "I'm sorry," Olivia said finally, "for reporting you both, for destroying your career. Don't apologize for doing the right thing." Was it the right thing? Because I keep wondering if I should have just talked to you both first, tried to understand. We would have lied, like we'd been lying the whole time. I know, but you're still my best friend, and he's still my father, and I destroyed you both. Lena took a breath. What your dad did, what we did, it helped people, but it also broke every rule that exists for a reason. We became the thing we were fighting against. You saw that. You stopped it. That took courage. It took betrayal. Both things can be true. They sat in silence for a while. Then Olivia said, "What are you going to do now?" "I don't know. My law career's over. I'm 24 with a ruined academic record and no prospects. I'm kind of figuring it out as I go. For what it's worth, I think you'd have made a good lawyer." "Thanks. But maybe I'm meant to do something else, something that doesn't require me to choose between right and wrong every day." Olivia smiled, sad but real. Do you think we can be friends again? Eventually? I don't know, but I'd like to try. That was enough. For now. 2 months later, Lana got an email from a victims advocacy nonprofit. They'd heard about her case, about what she'd tried to do. They were looking for someone who understood the system's failures from the inside. Someone who could help victims navigate resources, find support, push for change through legal channels. The salary was terrible. The work would be exhausting. But it was a chance to help people without becoming a criminal in the process. Lena took the job. She ran into Adrian one more time, a year later. He was at a coffee shop, reading a book, looking smaller somehow without the weight of his old life. "Lena." He stood, gestured to the empty chair. "Join me?" She did. "How are you?" he asked. "Better. Working for a nonprofit, helping victims find resources. It's not law school, but it matters." "I'm glad. You deserve that." He paused. "I heard Olivia's talking to you again." "Sometimes it's slow, but we're trying." "Good. That's good." He looked out the window. "I've been thinking a lot about what we did, whether it was worth it. And I still don't have an answer. We helped people the system failed, but we also became part of the problem. I don't know how to reconcile those two things." "Maybe you're not supposed to. Maybe you just have to live with the complexity." Adrian smiled. "When did you get so wise?" "When I stopped pretending the world was simple." They talked for an hour. About regrets and lessons and the weight of choices you can't undo. About trying to do good in a broken system and learning too late that breaking it further doesn't fix anything. As Lena left, Adrian called after her. "For what it's worth, I'm proud of you. For who you've become. Even though you helped destroy who I was, especially because of that, you took something terrible and turned it into growth. Not everyone can do that." Lena nodded. "Take care of yourself, Adrian." "You too." She walked away knowing she'd probably never see him again. And that was okay. Some chapters close. Some people are meant to be lessons, not permanent fixtures. 3 years later, Lena was testifying before a state legislative committee about reforms to domestic violence protection laws. She'd become an advocate, someone who understood both the system's importance and its failures. Someone who pushed for change through legal channels instead of operating in shadows. After the hearing, a young woman approached her, maybe 22, nervous, holding a folder full of notes. "Ms. Carter? I'm Emma. I'm in law school studying criminal justice reform. Your testimony today was amazing. The way you talked about victims' needs while respecting procedural protections. It's exactly what I want to do." Lena smiled. "That's great. The system needs more people willing to fight for change the right way. I know about your history, what happened at your law school. People talk about it as a cautionary tale." Emma paused. "But I think they're missing the point. You saw problems and tried to fix them. You made mistakes, but you owned them. That's more than most people do. The mistakes cost me everything. They cost you a career you would have had, but they gave you a purpose you might not have found otherwise. Isn't that worth something?" Lena thought about that. About the last 3 years working in the trenches, helping victims, pushing for legislative change. About testifying today in front of people who could actually make a difference through legal means. "Yeah," she said, "it's worth something." That night, Lena sat on her balcony and thought about the journey. About the girl who'd walked into Adrian Vale's house believing in justice and walked out understanding that justice was more complicated than she'd ever imagined. She thought about Derek and Tyler and Gregory and all the others, about whether they'd changed or just gotten better at hiding what they were. About the women whose lives had improved because someone had intervened outside the law. And she thought about the cost. Her career, Adrian's disbarment, Olivia's trust, the weight of knowing she'd crossed lines that couldn't be uncrossed. But she also thought about Emma, the law student who wanted to make a difference the right way. About the victims she helped now who got justice through legal channels instead of fear. About the slow, grinding work of changing systems from within instead of burning them down from outside. Was it worth it? She still didn't know. But she'd learned something Adrian never understood, that sometimes the right thing and the effective thing weren't the same. That breaking the law to enforce justice wasn't justice at all, just another form of power that corrupted anyone who wielded it. She'd learned that you couldn't save people by becoming the thing they needed saving from. That real change came from working within broken systems to fix them, not destroying them and building something worse in their place. Most importantly, she'd learned that everyone thought they were the hero of their own story. But heroes didn't torture confessions or kidnap people or threaten their way to outcomes they believed were just. Heroes did the hard work, the legal work, the work that took years and offered no guarantees but respected the principles that separated civilization from chaos. It wasn't satisfying, it wasn't efficient, it definitely wasn't dramatic, but it was right. And in the end, that was the only thing that mattered. Lena's phone buzzed, a text from Olivia. "Coffee tomorrow?" She smiled. Some relationships could be rebuilt, slowly, imperfectly, but honestly. She replied yes, looking forward to it. Then she went inside, closed the door on the past, and started planning her testimony for next week's hearing on restraining order reform. The work continued. It always would, because systems didn't fix themselves, and people didn't stop needing help. But this time Lena would do it the right way. Not because it was easier or more effective, but because she'd learned the hard way that the ends never justified the means. Some lines, once crossed, changed you forever. The question was whether you learned from the crossing or justified it. Lena had made her choice. And for the first time in years, she could sleep at night knowing she was building something instead of destroying it. That had to be enough, because it was all any of them could do. Try to leave the world slightly better than they found it, even if the path there was messier and harder and less satisfying than the stories promised. The difference between justice and revenge wasn't always clear, but it was always there. And choosing to see it, to respect it, to work within it even when it felt impossible. That was the work. And Lena Carter was finally ready to do it right.